was at the big desk.
Hey guys, welcome back in. Yeah, 2 o'clock on a pretty busy afternoon here as we not only get a ton of earnings after the close yesterday and this morning, but we're heading into even more. I was going over what's to come even next week. A ton of earnings reports still on the docket. We'll hear from a lot of the energy sector coming up next week, which is kind of interesting. Here's one of them right now. Pretty good day for these right across the board. XOM 2.9% right at day highs. Oil's positive, but definitely not a 3% kind of a day. As it is for some of the individual names. Tesla, we'll get into coming up here, but a nice number coming out of China overnight. Nice gap to the upside, has been nothing but upside. It's been a bit of a slow kind of grind all day long, but 5.7%. Great day for Tesla. Yeah, this OKTA fell off a cliff out of the gate this morning. I was never able to find a reason for that. It was on heavy volume, bounces right back to the upside, and has done absolutely nothing since. Dead flat here, but huge flush out of the gate this morning. Somebody was definitely selling at the open anyway, or closer to 10 o'clock, I guess it was, and then just went sideways for the rest of it. There's a banking group actually leading right now. A little bit of a change over the past couple of days anyways, past couple of weeks as well. Financial stocks back to the upside today. So the S&P 500 was leading out of the gate this morning versus some of the tech that we've seen so strong over the past little while. Here's Meta actually down red today, standing out here along with Airbnb. Airbnb obviously a lot smaller, but off earnings, Meta red, Microsoft, Google holding on to gains, Apple, Nvidia. Apple obviously after the close tonight, it was really strong out of the gate. We'll touch on that. Nvidia, AVGO, AMD red as well. So a few individual names standing out here relatively weak. The retail group is nicely strong. Consumer services, nicely strong. Energy, as I mentioned, nicely strong. There's Tesla down there, 5.6%. Yeah, has the Fed seen its last hike? Who knows? A lot of that's going to depend on what comes tomorrow morning. Remember, we get non-farm payrolls from last month coming up at 8:30 tomorrow morning. That is going to be a huge indicator as to whether or not the Fed is actually done going into not only the end of the year, but into the first part of next year. I mean, he said at that press conference yesterday, whether it's the end of the year or the beginning of the year or the middle of the year, he doesn't really care what the calendar is saying. They're still looking at that 2% target, and that's really all that matters. Anyway, we'll get Frank Kaberna coming through this afternoon. He'll give us his thoughts on what happened yesterday. I mean, I was saying with Sharif this morning, it was as neutral as I have heard him to date as far as the press conference goes and some of the comments that came from it. So will be interesting. We'll touch on that. Dollar very weak. Yields, as we said, right across the board have been downside all day long. Palantir was top of the list this morning as far as the watch list is concerned, rightfully so. Here's 20% on the day, guys, for PLTR.
20% today is not, like it's the only day, we said this multiple times, it's the only day where 20% up is like a hold my beer kind of move. Because when you throw out like Roku, who else?
What the hell is Roku doing?
I'm already forgetting like who else it was, but I mean, if you were watching the morning, you know there's a lot of names that are upside. And plus, count me as why is Meta strong? Like why is Meta so weak? Because I looked at that board, I've looked at that stock, you look at the daily chart, and I can understand there's kernels of weakness, and Google's having trouble to break VWAP, and Amazon's having trouble breaking VWAP, but Meta is literally at the low of the day as the market's breaking to 15,000. That is an interesting one to me.
Affirm was up huge.
Yeah, Affirm is that was the other one. That was the other one. It was Affirm.
That's 18 as we speak.
And then
You're in Affirm.
I'm in Affirm right. Well, not for long.
Okay.
It's at 80 right now. My stop is pretty much at 80. Give it like a cent or two. Palantir. Let's get to Palantir. So I like the 18 level into 1850. I went 1 for 4 on it, but the thing about it is there's one execution I didn't like on it, right? So it traded pretty much at the same level. You'll get an idea which execution I didn't like, and that's this one right in here. So the early stop out, that's fine. It's going to be 830, going to have a tight stop, but I made one execution that I was not a fan of, and that was in here at 1780. Everything else was on the line on a fail of 18 exactly. Like it was underneath 18, I was shorting 97s or 98s every single time except for one. And that's the one that makes a difference. So you can go 1 for 4 and be green, but the only reason I'm not 1 for 4 and green is because of this single decision, which was away from the price that I wanted. And I was wicked out of it. This was a weird Okay, so this isn't a legitimate wick. This was at 11 o'clock, right at the end of the show. When we're signing off, it broke down and got into like 1730s. So I flipped a stop up at 50. I'm like, oh, it's breaking down. It's going to go to 17. I put the stop in. It instantly came back up and tagged at 50 and got out, and then it made the low at 17 even. So I think the 18 is a good price. I think you can trade. I don't know if I want to trade off that in the afternoon because the way it's grinding up, maybe give it into that high of the day. But it just goes to show like price is going to be your friend. I was shorting the 18 level. It was either 18 or 1850. This is the reason. That's 1850 up top, and it went to 1830. So like that's right in the middle of the two zones. So I either wanted failing 18 or I wanted 1850. 1850 never came into play. On the other side of things, when we sat down, I would have thought Palantir dipped by, but there was just never. It was just so far to the upside that I was only thinking short at that price. There was never an opportunity I didn't think to get the dip by as we wanted. The daily chart looks fantastic. And if you do break out next week, maybe it could be, I don't know, it could be tomorrow. If you do break out 1850, this could be absolutely nasty and get to the $20 level. Everything that can squeeze did squeeze. AMD just mentioned better AI guidance with a poor guide and had a huge day. An AI company said AI, and they had an even bigger day. This was a hold my beer kind of moment for a lot of these types of names. And I think some shorts that were probably feeling pretty good under 16 are... You know what?
Good anymore?
Well, I was gonna say crap shitting their pants if this thing gets above 20. That's the best.
Yeah, I think that buying that, but I don't know. I think that like the real trade was just buying. Well, first of all, I just shorted Google here at 80s, so we're just trying to cover here ahead of the 200 period for another one. But the thing about Palantir is it's my second most profitable name today. So Apple, Palantir, Affirm, then Intel. And we only have one trade on Palantir, and it was a pretty good one, I feel like. We talked about this. We talked about giving up 7 to 8 cents if that was the worst case scenario. We let it settle down a little bit. We were too enthralled with Microsoft and Apple and Affirm and all this stuff. And I knew Neil was trading Palantir, so I just kind of left it a little bit. And then I was like, kind of the same thing, up 20%. Seemed pretty good. We shorted well, it was up more than that at this time. We shorted 1820s right there. Brought it all the way back in and then got out our last piece at 1750, and that's it, end. Like, I wish I had more to say there. The one thing about everything is I want to talk about Apple in a second because that's not on the board. For some reason, we have earnings tonight. It was just this 14, well, here, maybe it looks better on the daily chart. Yeah, so it's just this 14 area. That's all. You're always going to look back and be like, hey, you know, what's up with that? But that was a good little dip spot right there at 14. So lots of opportunities there to get long.
Right there.
I think anybody that's stuck short, you shouldn't have been short. Like, if there's anything about this earnings season, is you saw Roku today. I feel like if you can associate the name with ARK or anything like that, only because now that we have a little bit of a rhetoric change on the rates, and we're going to hear from Frank Kaberna in about 40 minutes. So thing is like now all these names that are perhaps just now turning profitable or are newer name to the market that got beat up, especially in the last year or so, those names are the ones at risk. Like, I don't know when when does Upstart report? I mean, maybe we already missed them. But, you know, you see something today with Roku, boom. You see something with...
Next week.
Okay, so watch out then. Like, get your call options ready to go for Upstart for next week because November 7th is coming pretty quickly. Look at this, on nothing today. Obviously, PayPal reported it's all good. Upstart up 10% today. Don't have a PE. We all know what that means. So anyways, the whole idea here is watch out for some of these names, right? Like a name that was hit all last year as well, PayPal. PayPal up, time for me to get out of this PayPal short. Whenever your stock is up 666 there, that might be
That's
a
ominous
sign.
when you pull it up and it's 666.
Yeah, that's what it was. It pulled it up and it was like 666. So yeah, not a good sign there. But needless to say, PayPal on my radar today. We'll talk about that fourth. Let's go over and talk about Qualcomm.
Yeah, nice look for Qualcomm today initially. It has been a little bit challenging today, however. After testing that high, we did get above it very, very briefly and then comes all the way back into basically where it ended after the close yesterday. But overall, pretty positive as far as earnings for Qualcomm.
Well, yeah, they beat on the top and bottom line, but the comps for last year, they missed big. Net income down 48% year over year on the quarter. Was 1.49 billion this year, 2.87 billion last year. Revenue wasn't much better. 8.67 billion is what they reported this time around, down 24% year over year on the quarter from 11.39 billion. We've been seeing a lot about the Apple Qualcomm relationship. That gets kicked down the road for 4 years, so that relationship will be intact. But we'll have to wait and see. Apple's brought in microprocessing chips in-house before and made the ARM-style chips with their M processor. So let's see how they do in 4 years.
Yeah, 2026 now for that. Still 5+% here, guys, for QCOM today.
It's true. It's true. Actually, this is one of the ones where we're prioritizing. You prioritize your plays at the open, and I was like, oh, I wouldn't chase this above the 200-period moving average right here. If it can't hold 118, look for a pullback. But then it wasn't one of the names that was in the trading plan. That's just what it looked like on the chart. So there, it failed, broke at 18. This would have been the one, actually. Like if I look at like the initial pop and fade ideas, this was easily the one that ended up being the best. But Qualcomm was way down on the list, so it's just something we talked about, and I didn't put a single trade on. And I don't think, look, I'm not trading Qualcomm in the afternoon. Like if you didn't take that first shot, or maybe found a place to buy the dip, then I don't know how much action you're going to get this afternoon. I could be wrong about that, but I feel pretty good that we're going to leave Qualcomm alone this afternoon. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah. Apple, on the other hand, going into earnings, it's a bit of a rocket ship. Above 177 is a 50. It already took out the 200-period moving average, and a day later we're crossing the 50. It just needs to be kind of good today. Well, I mean aftermarket. And then I think if you hold that line, you could see the 180 level. For now, I had that 177. Just are you holding that 50-period this afternoon? And if it can do that, it's got a chance. But you've now double tapped 177.5 here, and it's getting a little top heavy. So I think I'd feel better if this was breaking out that top than trying to buy 77s. As this market, it's gotten to 15,000. It seems like it's having some trouble getting more. We're already 1.6% to the upside after a big day yesterday, and things are getting top heavy. Then you throw in the fact that some of the other big cap tech names are just struggling. What I mean by that is Meta's Meta, but Amazon's flatlined on lower highs here. 137.5. I'm in Amazon. Google can't get past VWAP. Like there's just a bunch of other things going on. That's maybe we don't break those tops. I wouldn't want to chase anything up at these highs. But if you get some good dip buys on Apple, I'm not sure I want the 177. I got it marked off. I should probably take this line away because it doesn't really matter anymore. And sometimes that'll happen. Like I'll have a level. Never wanted to actually trade off it at any point today. Like why am I leaving it in there? At no point when it was at 177 did I like going long or short at that price level. So I'm just going to delete that and think about back in here like 176, 176 half on Apple, like underneath VWAP fills. Like those have been a little bit better on AAPL. I am still, we're not going to get a chance to talk about this. I am still in the Sofi trade, which.
Well, we do have 2 hours.
No, but is this so weird? It just happened to break out.
Not move.
No, but it just broke 8 now. I've been sitting in this. Remember the under VWAP? Let's get some fills under VWAP in SoFi. And if it breaks 8, let's add. So I added a third more on SoFi, and then it did absolutely nothing. So like, why would I do anything? I should have just added down here instead of there. Well, it finally broke out, and it's barely going anywhere. But I've been sitting in this since like 10 o'clock for it to do this. Couldn't just do what Pinterest did. Like Pinterest broke a consolidation like that and went up instantly. This thing, I just had a failed flick there.
Peloton is
a little better. But yeah, SoFi, I'm in it, but it's just breaking $8 now. Peloton
low? What do you think Peloton's up today? Or down?
I looked at it. It's at $5.70. I looked at it like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's up 16%. Because I thought we were sitting here be like,
I want to short Peloton at some point, I think.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, I just look now. Okay, let's go, man. You know we're here right now, so we can celebrate this on Apple. We started the day with a long bias, right? We wrote it right here on the board. We actually talked about this at 8:30 or 9 o'clock that we wanted to wait for Apple to barcode, or not barcode, but give us an entry. And it did that. It gave us 176. It gave us VWAP. It gave us a 200 period. So we hit it, and then that's it. We just got out right there against the high of the day. It zipped up here. We're waiting for 50s. We got 48s. The high of the day right there is 67. So basically we have the low there at 10 o'clock, and then we have the out there for $1.50. So it's $1.32. So we got $1.32 on the last little 10%. Good moves upside here. We got a 177 out as well. So again, the risk here was scalping it through the 200. So we do way better than 1-to-1 there. Get it out, hold a little bit for the dream, and that is that end. So we're done on Apple. And I actually tweeted this out. It could be a mistake for sure going short now, but I'm not going short Apple. I'm just done with this trade. We actually have an hour 45, right, until they report. The last of the Magnificent Seven to come through. There's still Nvidia to report. That's not till the 21st, so we'll have to wait 3 weeks until we get Nvidia. But the biggest and the baddest is out tonight, man. The largest holder in the S&P 500, not the largest holder, largest weighting, and in the NASDAQ. Apple just, it's going to be its chance to shine here tonight, and I think it does, to be honest with you. I just a little worried, obviously, about China and, if they could we did hear, now I don't know, thanks for that, Sharif, by the way. I am not 100% certain on what they may or may not say about the Middle East. So we did see Snapchat go down on that. We did see Meta go down on that. So there could be some talk there regarding the Middle East. And you know which name really hasn't talked too much AI, Sharif? It's going to be Apple. So if Apple starts busting out some nice AI wording, then we will see what happens. And then tomorrow, Sharif can buy us all Starbucks because I think it's going to go to the moon here. I'll take a flat white there, Sharif.
All right.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, if Apple beats and they beat well, everybody on the production and TV team gets Starbucks from me tomorrow.
Record that. Clip that. Somebody clip that.
I don't want a coffee from Starbucks, man. I don't drink no Starbucks.
Neil,
I'm just saying.
apple fritter.
No. I just want Starbucks. I want like a cookie. That's all. Okay. I don't really drink Starbucks coffee. We get free coffee here, Principal's Price.
We should.
You know what I want?
We should get the $15 delivery too from Uber and make it a thing. All right, done.
Oh, I can't. We can't. I was gonna say I'd walk with him, but I'm not here tomorrow. Oh, damn it! I bartered all this free stuff, and I'm not even here.
One-time deal. One-time deal.
Oh well.
All right. Right, stocks and market and stuff. China deliveries come through this morning for Tesla. I mean, we saw on that board when we came back on at 2 o'clock there. I mean, 5.7% here for Tesla today. Huge, 3-day in a row rally now. Off the lows after 72,115 cars in China get delivered. I wonder how many of those were the new Model 3.
Since October 26th, Brendo, they've been selling the new Model 3 in China, still not available in Europe, still not available in North America. I was suggesting to you guys that there was a lot of pent-up demand, people not making the purchases, waiting for that new Model 3 to come out. I still feel that way, especially in North America. We'll have to wait and see what happens when it does get released here. But they delivered, Brendo. Not too bad, 72,115 vehicles. That's about 2.6% down from a month earlier, so slowing down a bit. Nothing we were not made aware of earlier. We know that China sales are slowing down. The consumer there a bit shaky. Chinese rival BYD reported 301,095 cars. Caveat though, those are mixed hybrid, ICE, and EV.
Does that actually break that down into categories?
Not here, they don't.
No, we'll have to look that up. Like I said earlier, a bit of a slow grind here for Tesla today. I mean, right back to day highs. More importantly, Neil would like some clarification here. So Apple just has to be positive.
Okay, look, Neil. They have to beat on the top and bottom line, and when I come here tomorrow, they have to be percentage up on the day. Not by much, just a percentage up.
But what is it, like 1? Or
even. You got to be green, Brent.
0.01.
You got to be green from today's close.
Okay, done.
Well,
And I want mine on Monday.
yeah, that's get Sean's on
honestly,
Monday.
because
No,
this is just.
He can do that.
Because I know Apple's gonna be up.
Well, but they're gonna beat. I wanted to make sure we knew the conditions because
The thing is, so
when you get in, it has to be. I'll have my screen on Apple when you walk in, just to be sure, right? So if it's green, then I get a cookie, and I'm gonna point it out to you when you walk in here. because all it just has to be beat and green at that moment at like 7 something in the morning. So we're talking about Tesla. Is that yeah, Tesla. So Tesla, it's weird. Like it's strong today. Look, I don't have an execution on Tesla. I think at the open, I said 212 at the open, but I wasn't on Tesla at 9:30. At 9:30, my focus was on a few other names at that time: Palantir, Roku, Intel. I think there was one other one, like Red at 9:30. That was the focus. So I mean, if I was looking at Tesla, I probably would have taken a shot at it. Whether or not I would have held it all the way, like $1 against me, I can't say. Probably not. And then it's been strong ever since. But this is having trouble at 218. I mean, I'll get to Sofi in a second, Thomas. It's finally going. It took literally all day. But it's gotten to 218. I thought the top would be 220. So this is a bit tricky here because I was looking to fade this at 220. But it is a 2.5-hour barcode at the 218 level on Tesla, just gearing up. And I feel like it's coiling up for a break into to go to 220. And if we can get through 15,000, like a few things should be happening if we get to 15,000. One, Tesla should continue strength. Two, Meta, I mean, are we really going to break 15,000 and Meta stays on the lows? That makes absolutely no sense to me. Still don't know why Meta's so weak. But I think if we can get through 218, I think you'll look for some long breakouts this afternoon to get into the 220 level. I still think 220 is where the short would be. That's just going back on the higher time frame chart. And it's finally going. Been sitting in this forever. Sofi finally breaks out from it. I have one more offer. I'll probably put another one in here at 10s, and I have one at 12. The high is 815. So I've been sitting 95s and added at 8. So eventually my average price is just going to be 801. And if this can break out the top, up 7%, which is essentially nothing today. If you're up 7%, you suck today.
Yeah, it's like, what's going on with you?
What's wrong with you if you're only up 6.5%? That was just a 666 a second ago.
What are you, PayPal?
I know. It's crazy how much strength there is in a host of names that you'd be surprised about, like that Peloton move.
Adair just dropped a story about Meta maybe being the controllers on the Oculus not working out so great.
But that's
Could be. I told her
down 1% today.
I know. We've sort of employed Adara to go find out what's going on with Meta, and she just messaged me that. So it could be it. Could be it. It is strange why it's down so much today against the market. There's obviously going to be something, and it probably turns out that it is something to do with that.
Maybe it's his Threads thing. Jay Lee
Threads?
saying.
It could be Threads. What are people saying about
This is just from Jay Lee, FYI. Meta weakness equals UK about to force them not to use Threads. It's taken open shut case, and they're spending like a drunk sailor on. Okay, well,
we know all that.
Well, that part
kind of
we
stuff.
know. It's just like that's not new that they're spending like a drunk sailor. I'm just, again, this is not saying you have to have an explanation for everything. I just see us pressing 15,000, and I can understand that it can be lag in the market. That is not my issue here. I understand it can be lag in the market. It's the fact that there isn't even a press into VWAP. Like, I would short it if it got back into 11s and 12s based on the weakness. I just got stopped out of Amazon. If I could be shorting this at VWAP, I would have been doing that over probably trying to take this Amazon short, which worked into VWAP and now just broke out. So in Amazon once, worked, in Amazon twice, fail. If that same pop happens on Meta, fine. With relative weakness, I'd short it here. But it's not doing anything. It's weird.
Yeah, we didn't trade Tesla today. We didn't trade anything like that. We're going to get to PayPal in a minute. So why don't we just look at it? I did talk about Tesla. I'm short Google right now. We're out of half of it. Now it's not. So now it's 9 cents against us. So it's just back and forth. It's basically a flat trade there on Google. Look, we talked about Tesla waiting for maybe 220 to come through. So I think that's where the 50-period moving average we're at. The 200. Right now at 218.75. So, you're kind of bouncing up there. I would think it's about a short. The reason why I'm not short anything right now is really because of this. I really think, and I just tweeted this out right now, is that this 15,050 here, so 15,050, goes all the way back to October, where you're looking at this level. So I could see some consolidation there, top back here, and then it goes back further. But I think that we could get to those levels. So that's sort of what I was trying to think about here for the NASDAQ and for any possible shorts. So for me, I would stay away from Tesla. I really think that it could get the juice behind it for a while now. So for me, Tesla's a hold But definitely waiting to see on 220. I don't want to short yet. If we get to that 15.5 and things start to look shady up there, then I think Tesla, it's up so much. Like this bottom of 190 all the way to 217 in 3 days. I mean, obviously we get the huge catalyst yesterday, and we've been talking about being long all day today. So the fact that I'm short Google right now makes me feel some kind of way. And by the way, remember we were talking about, and I just said this right now, and I just saw it because it came across. Beyond Meat today, they didn't even report.
them too.
They just changed their mind up on their guidance. So they report November 8th, but today they guide ahead. So, I mean, whoever's doing the PR or anything for Beyond Meat, man, you guys obviously are not doing chicken dinner winners because you're Beyond Meat. But that's a good move by them coming out today with upside guidance, especially considering sort of some of the cohorts here as far as the name, and I don't mean cohorts as in the same business, but some of these lower kind of shortable names like Beyond Meat short float is 41%. I don't think you're going to find a name with a market cap of, wow, their market cap is 400 million? What the? I was going to say that this might be like the largest percentage for a decent sized market cap, but wow, okay. Yeah, let's just pass on that. No, it doesn't matter. I don't want to pass on the stock, but anyways, November 8th, another one you may want to get call options on, Beyond Meat.
Just looking at the sodium intake for Beyond Meat. I don't know why. It's one of those days. Let's touch on PayPal here. We were talking about it this morning off a pretty good report for them as well. Guidance was the question mark. A bit of a pullback off the highs here a little bit for PayPal. This was just one of about 10 this morning. Goldman Sachs with a positive note. Everyone either maintaining a positive rating or increasing from what they were currently at. They did lower their price target, though, back to $80. Check's price.
Yeah, they
We're at
beat on
55.
Yeah, yeah. They beat on the top and bottom line. They beat 130 a share EPS coming in ahead of expectations at 123. Revenue came in at 7.42 billion ahead of expectations at 7.38. It was like you said, the EPS for the fourth quarter, the guidance came in at 136. The street was looking for 141. But Brendo, they talked about turning leaner. Where have we heard that before? Meta, remember? The year of efficiency, PayPal trying to take a page out of their book. They've also got a bit of a headwind here to deal with the SEC getting a subpoena, Brendo, for their crypto business. We'll have to see how that transpires the rest of the year, but it was a tough one for Coinbase when they got that Wells notice. They sold off decisively after that, so maybe a subpoena, not so good.
Take a guess. In the burger.
Percentage of daily intake?
Milligrams.
Milligrams. I don't know. Can you see a screen? I'm just
No, she can't. 380.
Wow.
It's a lot of salt.
How much more, like how much?
No, but
of
it's
your
gotta be
average
relative
daily,
to-
right, like
Yeah.
what do they suggest? Like if it, there it goes. So, okay, so the average daily intake is supposed to be around 100, I guess, and milligrams, period.
And we're obviously talking about Beyond Meat. Like it's
Yeah. No, I'm
know,
not recommending the stock or anything. I just,
No, but like a day like today, Virgin Galactic's up 12% or something like that. Nikola was up, I don't know, like 15%.
Right.
I haven't looked, but I'm sure BlackBerry's up or something like. It's just when we say the cohort, like if you have a short interest today was just a huge short covering rally. Pay and Square. PayPal and Block. How about I say neither name correctly? PayPal and Block both because
Payblock.
They're both strong moves to the upside. Look, I like the 53. I didn't take it at 9:30. As I said, when this was happening, I was in a few other names at that particular moment. You got to pick your poison, but it's finally made that bomb. The last couple of days, there's been some decent longs in it, but it finally like really punched through, and it took a pretty big sell-off. The other one I just want to quickly go to because we never really talk about Block. Block was only like it was a bit of a different story for Block. It dipped at the open, but it was just much more muted, and it's starting to break out again here. So I have Block as 45 resistance. I don't know if we see that. Maybe we see that today. I don't know, but this one's taken out the top, and this feels like if we break 15,000, this one might be a trend upside here. So if we fail the 44, I'd be looking to buy a dip in here to the 43.80. Room to 45. I don't think we see 45, but if we see 45 today, I think it's a shorter block. I got my pretty line in the chart that says so why not?
So Brendan has confirmed it's still a lot. It's still a lot, but it's only 16% your daily recommended intake.
And here's the
So it's still a lot for one individual thing. But I mean,
That's
those
maybe
margaritas that I
not.
have, I wonder how much sodium.
Because if you eat a single burger, let's just say,
Well, yeah,
like
we can
that
Google
can
it.
that can easily be 16% of your caloric intake on a day.
No,
I
no,
don't,
it's not calories.
No, what I'm saying, no, but like
Oh, yeah,
on a
yeah.
relative thing, that's probably not that bad. Look, I don't eat the stuff, so I'm just giving you the other side of it.
We just
to
don't
be
want
fair.
the haters to come in because we don't want to
Like I still don't eat it. I'm
say
just
the
saying.
wrong thing
Yeah.
there. Yeah, my daughter, ever since going to Italy, has changed back from vegetarian. So we're
Funny
all,
how that works, right?
we're all down with. Well, she knew that. She knew it. She was it for a while, but
Once there's good food to be had, let's see how-
yeah. No.
I have nothing against it. It's fine.
Okay.
My nephew's into vegetarian.
Quickly, what are we talking about? PayPal. So, yeah, man, I mean, today, we wrote down on the sticky note today, it's the number 3 name, and it's PayPal long 53. We waited for dip buy opportunities. The problem is, we've been in so many names that look like this right off the open, and I'll show it to you, right? And it's like, we got out, we had I'm upset because we did have a lot of shares down here at 53, so I had to get out almost immediately when it broke, so we wound up getting out on the break there. The problem is, it then started to rip back up, so we only held 25% of our position. Then we got it out here at 53.50, then we got it out at 54, and now we're $2 in the money up here at 55. But yeah, it's too bad that we didn't have 52.50, but so this is what I said yesterday, and I said it on the recap show when we had a Q&A the other day, and it's just about position sizing, and it's like, I've sat there before on Intel or on Snapchat, those are just the 2 that I remember, and I think NEO was another one, where I was really excited for the earnings report, and then we had it right. Like, PayPal's up more now, obviously, than it was at 10 o'clock. It's just, you gotta be patient, and that's 9:43. So Apple, we waited till about 10 to baseline. We realistically should have done the same thing here, because there's 53 holding, right? It got flushed early, and we basically, without being vulgar, we messed it up. Like, we should have held that trade, but going down against me 50 cents with the share size and with it being my very first trade, it's like caught with sort of blinders on. It's like, I'm only looking at that. It hit the stop order. And again, we consider ourselves risk managers here. And if the trade doesn't work out for you early, I'm getting out of it because there's so much more to do. So today was just a wild one for PayPal. And let's just talk about where I'm going to get out, honestly. I think I want to be long the rest of the day. So maybe a break. This is the 200 period. Let's just play that. So we go into that 54.64. All right, so I'm going to cancel. I mean, right now on this long, my stop is 50 cents lower. So I have the stop right now. I'm going to cancel that at 52.50 and put this in right now at 54.64 so I don't forget about it. Set it and forget it right now with PayPal. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's see if it holds the 200 period moving average. Good win today for PayPal, but definitely not traded the best.
All right, we'll wrap it up with Airbnb. Pretty disappointing right out of the gate this morning. I was talking about this engulfing candle to the upside this morning, not so much anymore. That's pretty negative at this point as far as what happened. Again, I mean, the report was okay, I guess, considering. Everything across the board, including bookings going forward to the upside, double-digit % gains for the most part, 2.8% meanwhile, back down here for Airbnb.
Yeah, like you said, it was the guide. 2.13 billion to 2.17 billion for revenue on the next quarter. The street was looking for 2.18, so it doesn't even hit the low end of that. But as Brendo said, they beat on the top line, they beat on the bottom line. $6.63 EPS on revenue of 3.4 billion. Analysts were looking for 211 and 3.37, so a big beat there. The booking nights and experiences, guys, 113 million bookings in the quarter. That's up 14% year over year on the quarter. Cross-border bookings, which means people leaving the country to go and book there. And we've heard a lot about airlines doing well with transatlantic travel, and the ones that don't do transatlantic travel perform poorly, like, for example, Spirit and Southwest. That was up 17% year over year. So again, it's the guide. The main headwind, though, cities looking to impose restrictions on Airbnbs like New York did.
Yeah, I mean, they make it too easy almost, especially in Europe. I've used it a number of times in Europe, and it's as easy, if not easier, than a hotel in some cases. Right back down, though, here, guys, today for Airbnb.
Yeah, they just put some restrictions. I mean, we're in Canada. They just put some restrictions out in BC, where obviously it's very popular out there. So it's happening, and like travel is what it is, the economy is what it is, and people may be pinching their pennies and what's going on in the world, all that stuff, and you were relatively weak. The interesting thing about Airbnb is the fact that it was only up 1 or 2% gave a little bit of a hint today. You know, if it was participating like the rest of this market, to me, you're breaking the 120 level, and then you're at least challenging the 200 period moving average at 125. When that didn't happen, it's like stair step down. There is your local high at 119. You couldn't get above it. Look at the failure back underneath. There's your failure at 120. Then the local high at 119 resistance. There's your pop short. It should have been a short. Like I look back at today, and you know, like here's my opportunity to show you Roku. Like I'll show you what I was doing, because this could have been it could have been from like an okay day to a fantastic day if I replaced looking at Roku. And I had a couple of shots at Roku. Thankfully, we didn't fight it. But each time that I was looking at Roku, had I done the same pop and fade on Airbnb, which I liked, or Qualcomm, which I liked. But I picked Roku over both of those. And the other two would have worked, and then the one I decided to play is the one that didn't work. So it's like the opportunity cost of picking the wrong name. It happens sometimes, but you try to do better. So I was in this instead. I don't know why Roku wasn't on this, but yeah, Roku obviously too.
Oh yeah, Roku was another one.
Yeah, that's when we should have. We probably should have had Roku on this instead of Airbnb. But this is my way of segueing to Roku anyways. So I like the pop and fade in a couple of places off resistance level, and I did not trade Qualcomm and Airbnb off those, and I did trade Roku at 72, and then again at 75. Right places, wrong direction. So like Roku's my worst stock of the day, and the other two that I like this setup on both ended up working out. Sometimes it'd be like that, but that's part of the game. The best you can do if you're looking short Roku, I didn't mean to rhyme that, is at least have some tight stops in there. Like have a tight stop. Don't sit there fighting it the entire way. I suppose if it had gone to 80, I would have taken a third shot as well. Oh, there we go. There's.
What's up?
I was about to say, hey, we're done the rundown. Then what is it? Oh, that's your
yeah,
thing.
you got to get that off there. I changed mine. I actually didn't even realize it.
That's your aftermarket.
That's what's going on for tonight, baby. We've got earnings, we've got trade talk, we've got our trade of the day, and we've got roll call, and we've got a pick for you for Sunday night. I already have it wrong. What day is it today? Watch this.
Thursday night football.
Watch me change this.
Because there's only one
live.
pick for Sunday night football.
There it is, TNF.
Okay, because you know Sunday night football, there's only one pick to be had, and it's not up for discussion.
It's Bills Bengals.
It's not up for discussion. Thursday night football, you can have at it, but
yeah, my bad. I changed that. I didn't realize it was still up. So let's go back over to the desk and finish this up.
All right, the rundown, regardless of what edition it is, brought to you by Trade Ideas. As always, see what's moving in the moment with Trade Ideas, used by everyone on the show and most people on the floor. Take advantage, Trader TV 20 right now. Trader TV 20 gets you 20% off at Trade Ideas.
All right, just quickly right now, thanks to Trade Ideas for that. We're getting close, man. My stop here on Google is, I was gonna say 128 right now. So we're getting, I said I'd want to be long all day here today. Google just, honestly, it's a little weaker than the market. We've seen, I mean, it got going real good early. We're really nowhere near levels. I've gotten carried away on this because we were shorting VWAP there. And then as we were short VWAP, I always did think that this 128 could also be a level. So we'll short it right now. We're short at 85s. As you could see, we got out of half down there, which was good. And now it looks like we could L here on Google. We did take some L's earlier on Google as well. See, this is what I mean. Like, I always say that it's kind of like a curse and a, it's curse and a blessing. to be able
it's a blessing and a curse, but
yeah, whatever the way is, but is to be able to flip directions. But we were initially long, so now we're going to favor, okay, now we're going to, all right, now we're going to favor shorts. And there it is right now. Let's go. Spin the money a little bit here for this short. Now starting to pay out. We'll take it. We're short at 85. We'll take 79s there. There it is, coming back in. So here we go for another one. Hopefully this will work out. But again, the market's just at the levels. And the reason why we short this, again, we just talked about it, is also the NASDAQ is at 15,000 and we've bounced our head up there a couple times. So I do want to go short something. We could pick on Apple, but again, with Apple earnings there, let's just go with another big dog here at Google, who really has been one of the stronger Mag 7 names. It's just they got hit on earnings. So Google right now, I do think we get back to the 50 period, and I don't like, honestly, I don't like the short on Google. This is just simply a day trade off that 15,000 mark. So I'm already out of 20% now. Let's see if we get more. It's in the money now, 10 or 8 cents. So I don't know, maybe put a little bit more here and then see if it floats a little bit lower into the, like again, if you go from the high of the day, sort of where we shorted there on reasons, back into the 50 period and VWAP, I think we take it. So right there, we'll take some 80s, we'll take some 79s as well, and then we'll see if it can float back in to the low side here. And maybe the short prints the rest of the day. I'm just not in love with this position.
they all float, Sean. They
do.
all float.
Sting like a bee.
No, it's that's it from Pennywise.
I don't know that. I don't know that movie as well as I should.
That's a great. Well, okay, fine. I like scary movies. We've been over this.
My daughter wants to be Pennywise.
That's a great costume.
I know, but I feel like
Oh my goodness.
it's hot now. Might not be hot next year. I don't know.
Ah, you never know.
Isn't there a show or
Just a couple of a couple of things just to go over them. I'll get to. I mean, SoFi is at the high of the day. Tesla's marching. I'm in Intel. I didn't like this entry, so I covered it. Just covering that one flat. So I like the consolidation. I took the break. I'm like, the market's not going. Why take the break? I'll get flats on that if I can. And then the longs off of 45 here. So the high on the earlier long at 37 in Intel topped out there. Now you're getting the consolidation. So I think it can break out if the market takes 15 and get up to like the 37.6, that area. So Intel, I like 37. That's now gone, the long in this consolidation. The other thing I'm in, which I'll get this out of the way. I'm in a Chinese ADR in the afternoon. So NEO didn't quite get to 8, which this morning I said, hey, NEO, $8, let's go short. It topped out like 793, lower high. At that point, I became convinced it wasn't going to $8 and just shorted the local high. So I grabbed the short here at 88s, tried to get more at 90s, never got filled. It popped to VWAP. Now it's not really doing anything. So it did one move down, got most of it out, and I'm still actually waiting underneath VWAP here. And this will probably just go sideways. I'll probably cancel that offer. Don't need it. I'll make a judgment call if it gets back up there. And then SoFi, this one, it's about time. We'll hit this because it is Thursday Night Football. I have no dog in the fight tonight. I don't have anybody going in fantasy. We don't have, obviously it's not a survivor
My
game.
team is so bad. I have lots of guys going in fantasy. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, Pittsburgh has some players. I could trade you for Deontay Johnson.
I have Deontay Johnson, and then I have. Well, actually, my other league I have Hopkins, but
then it's
we
like
just talked about having Tajay Spears, but they didn't trade Derrick Henry.
they should have traded Henry.
So.
But anyways, yeah. So there you go. And we were talking about Ryan in the chat said he liked the under, which no word of a lie. We were talking about the under in tonight's game because I don't think there's going to be that much offense. Both teams are.
The under, it's 36.5. Who said that in the chat?
Rookie quarterback was
Ryan?
You have a rookie quarterback against a real defense for the first time.
You basically have two rookie quarterbacks.
And Thursday Night Football is notorious for having lower scoring games. But I was going to say, high of the day on SoFi, I'm taking another out. This is the last out that I'm going to have unless it breaks VWAP. If it breaks back underneath $8, I'm out of the trade. If it takes out the high of the day, I'm holding to the quarters. I'm going to get an offer at the quarters, and then I'm going to move my stop on SoFi. This took forever to go, but the consolidation break was worth it. The same way, remember yesterday on Pinterest, it wasn't this time, but it was like, I don't remember what time. It was like, it wouldn't be close enough to this time. It's 243. We had the long consolidation in Pinterest, and I was sitting in that stupid short that worked, and then I didn't reverse into the long. And if you're watching this morning, I already said this, but fine. I did not reverse into the long. After a consolidation like this, when it broke out, I wasn't willing to take the long. And then today, I'm like, if it does the same thing, you got to go long. And the same thing happened on Pinterest. But here's the problem with this trade, which should be very obvious to everybody. So you can see me get some out here at 70, and you can see me get some here at like at 11s or 31 even on a trail out. Then I get back in and out of the trade at 31. But right in here at VWAP, it does this liquidity grab thing the first time it starts going and then comes back in. And instead of seeing if it did it again, I anticipated that it would do it again, put a bunch of outs in there. I'm like, yeah, if it does this spike up and right back down, I'm going to get some out and then join back into the long. Anticipate instead of participate. Instead, as it's working the best, I'm shotgunning out. Doesn't make any sense. So in that particular case, like it turned from what it was a good trade, it should have been ridiculous, but that's how you want to hold a trade. It's working the best in that moment. That is not when you should be getting it. If you have a big, massive candle, I'm not in favor of that kind of shotgun out. Like in a situation with Sofi, where I'm looking to capture $8 to $8.15, then you put offers all the way through. But when talking about something like Pinterest there, like pins, like give me a break. Like if it's breaking from here, like it's got room. That's like 330 into 375. High of the days at $31. There's no need to be shotgunning out in that range because that's when it's working the best. Like if you're panicking out as your trade is working, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So anyways, I just wanted to go over that one because I'm not in the trade, and I was not happy with that execution. A winning trade should not look like this at all. At all. Like those outs should be reserved for here and here. Like that's the decision-making point. That's the decision-making point. Here is a decision-making point. Obviously, we get the perfect high. Fair enough as well. Coin short TP just said.
Yeah, people wanted to ask about that. I don't know.
It's close to 85. Everything is up today. It's a weird one. Look, this is where I said if it gets to 85, start looking short. But it's not so simple as short 85 on this stock. Like, look at all the wicks up here. These highs are 86.5. That wick is to 89. The lower high is to 80. So you can probably see this on the 15-minute. Like, okay, so at 85, I stopped thinking about the long because the way it rejects. But this could easily get past 85 into 86. So I'm looking for shorts up here and not wanting to buy. But I want it breaking tops and wicking those highs and then getting back to the downside. Oh, the other thing that just happened while we were talking, I mean, this just happened, which was ridiculous. I missed by 2 cents on Intel as it spiked up, and I didn't get a fill, so I'll get something, not everything, on the way back if it gets to those 60s. We're still battling 15,000, so either you're holding longs, in my opinion, either I'm holding longs into this 15,000 to go, or I'm looking for something to short on a failure of 15,000. Ideally, that would be Meta, if Meta would do something, but Meta's not doing anything.
Yeah, and I mean, on that note, I know we're getting ready to have Frank come through, but like, honestly, I mean, the 20 period, is right here at 82. So I just took some more outs there on Google. It's just looking strong, man. The market's not giving this up. It's breaking now through 15,000. Remember what the reason for the short was against that 15 and against a 128 even dollar level there for Google. So hopefully it comes back in and we'll be able to get a better fill downside. I am bidding right now 76 and 66 back down into the downside. And so here it comes. So that's going to be a good fill, hopefully, if we can get in. And that's why we're bidding 76 is, oh, come on, Google. Give me that price. If we can get it back, ooh, we just missed it right there. So this is the day trader's dilemma. So I'll put it at, there we go, I'll put it at 78 and take it out right there. So bang, right there for a nice one. It's a small win, but I was getting nervous there. So now let's hold it, man. We're still only out of 30% of this trade, hoping for a heck of a lot more on here. The problem is, as we know, when Frank comes on,
Market goes up.
The market will tend to go up. I feel like the market's going to come down here off 15,000 regardless of us having the best guy on the show. So here we go. It's Mr. Frank Kaberna. Turn up your speakers.
There he is. Yeah, back with us once again for a recap of what happened yesterday. An important day, not only with the Fed, but what we're going to get tomorrow morning as well. Could, Frank, let's be honest, be maybe even more important as far as market moves are considered. And I say that simply because, you know, I've been sitting here kind of mentioning the fact that Powell yesterday was as neutral, let's say, as I can remember him throughout this entire process during the press conference, you know, at any point, really never giving in to many questions that were asked to him yesterday, trying to indicate any kind of direction as far as he is concerned.
Yeah, and I think it is definitely worthwhile to remind people that we've been in this mode very recently, going back to June, July of this year. There were rate cuts priced in by the end of this year, not looking out to next year. And yeah, his press conference and everything has been interpreted as dovish, but you look at what he had to say and the statement that came out of the Fed from their meeting, and actually upgraded a couple of these terms that no longer is, employment. I believe it was last month they were saying they had a more neutral tone on employment, but they're now saying employment is still growing strong, and that's something that is sure a good thing, but they're monitoring for a resurfacing of inflation. And to your point, Brendan, non-farm tomorrow, or CPI that's coming out in a couple of weeks, or retail sales that's due in the next couple of weeks as well. Any of those numbers coming out stronger than expected could undo a lot of the last 24 hours of trading. That being said, the market is very much in we're done mode, right? We're done with these rate hikes, and you can see it in the odds that have shifted over the course of the last 24 hours. They continue to take out more chances of any kind of rate hike in the near future. And it looks like the tipping point, Brendan, is really around spring of next year. And that's to say, if they don't hike one more time in the next 3 or 4 meetings, that's when the odds flip to cutting afterwards by the end of next year. And you can see now 20% chance of one more hike. That is down from 30+% chance the last couple of days, which is down from 50% chance a couple of weeks ago. And then, yeah, you go out to the chances over the course of the next year. This is by the end of 2024, and the bulk of this pretty normally distributed projection for interest rates hovering around 4.5% there. And so, looking for cuts, the question becomes when. You and I have already been talking about this, and the market's trying to decipher it right now. And the stock market performing quite well in the last 24 hours, a lot of it on yields across the curve getting pummeled nonstop the last 24 hours. And the expectation now is that we will get to normalizing those rates lower sooner than was thought maybe a couple of days ago. But to your point, very important non-farm number tomorrow, very important data to come throughout November here. And we've done this a number of times amid the rate hiking environment we've been in the last 2 years, Brendan, which is, get to a level like a 3% or a 4%, interpret a meeting or a couple data points as dovish, and this is the end of rate hikes type of mentality. And then it comes back on and we jump another level. It seems like the market is really content at this 5% level. Inflation hasn't spiked back. Employment, while it's been strong the last month, hasn't necessarily alerted Powell to another rate hike, so to speak. But yeah, a lot of this can be undone very quickly. If anything, the market's kind of setting up for a potential letdown tomorrow, which would be a high non-farm number.
And I think the messaging specifically was very clear from him, and he said it over and over and over and over again that they're still targeting 2%, and don't tempt him because he will essentially hike again. And specifically going back to if we just do a quick recap, we got that GDP number that was off the charts, higher than anyone was expecting. The past, two, I think, inflation prints, PCE, the main one, in line with expectations, but there's still no budging in that to the downside. And then we look to these employment numbers. There's been a couple already this week with the ADP and the private payrolls number, both there or thereabouts. So, yeah, a lot to look at tomorrow.
Yeah, and the number is expected to come in right in what has been kind of a normal range historically, which is a 150 to 200K number on non-farm payrolls. And yeah, but again, going into that number, Brendan, it feels like we've priced in that this number has to be around, 150 to 170. And if it comes higher than 200, then I think that you see a jump in yields and stocks give back some of the ground that they've gained in the last 24 hours of trading. That being said, the last one was a big surprise to the upside. And it feels like this one is more likely to come in line with, like I say, what's been more normal, closer to 150 to 200. But like I say, market pricing in kind of a slight under on this number already. It'll be really interesting to see if it does come in that 300 handle like last time, which was a big surprise. Will 10 years just shoot right back up close to 5%? Because now they're off to, almost 460. Pretty crazy how quickly they have given up that 5% hope and dream, but can get right back up there pretty quickly there. And I think that would likely send NASDAQ and S&Ps back down to where they've been trading the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so we've been through this crazy round trip now where we saw, yields lagging what we were being told. Now we're seeing yields catching up to what we're being told. We get that kind of, hawkish pause again, if you will, from the Fed. And now yields are getting crushed once again. So overall, the market back to a point where, there's strength in downside movement in yields, where over the past few weeks, it's been, yields higher on some days, stocks higher, and vice versa, yields down, stocks down. So, what do we believe here for the next little while going forward?
Well, yeah, the market is always going to be the indicator of, where the majority of people's beliefs are. And right now it is that Powell is going to execute on this soft landing. And the way that you can tell that is because, 5-year, 10-year, and 30-year yields have all backed off to around 4.5%. And short-term yields are still around 5% or so, but that's because short-term interest rates are still there until the Fed moves them lower. This is all to say that they're expecting that Powell will bring that short-term rate down to the 4 handle in the next year to couple of years, and the market now indicating that. Whereas the last couple of weeks, we've seen so much fear in that stock market rooted in rising interest rates, because that 10-year and 30-year, to your point, we're starting to buy into higher interest rates for longer. That sentiment has spoiled a little bit in the last 24 hours. But like we say, this is a 10-year that has been moving 10, 20 basis points in a given day. And you see a big non-farm number tomorrow, followed by, a CPI or inflationary measure that's heading back in the higher direction. And that 10-year and the rest of the yield curve will build in. And to your point, Powell has not said anything about taking rate hikes off the table. The market is just pricing that in, and that market can change quite quickly. But yeah, something that I thought was really interesting is you bring in the historical piece of short-term interest rates. And I threw you all a chart of the 1-month treasury bill yield over the last 20 years or so, which is essentially the overnight rate, as close as we can get to that Fed funds rate that the Fed controls. And historically speaking, Brendan, we have really never seen this soft landing like the market and the Fed right now are both aimed at getting to. We've only seen kind of a binary short-term interest rate number either climb high to that 3, 4, 5% spot that we've been the last 12 to 24 months, or fall down to 0% in a quick manner, like around the pandemic or the 08 financial crisis. And so, yeah, we are in uncharted territory here, but for the first time in months, it seems the Fed and the market in the same place, thinking that we will get this soft landing, that short-term interest rates will come down to more like 4.5% next year, and then maybe somewhere in the 3 handle by 2025, which is exactly what the stock market wants. Whether or not we get that, only time will tell, because historically we've never gotten that.
Yeah, well said. And more to come, obviously, not only tomorrow, but going into the next couple of weeks. So the story continues here on the inflation battle. Frank Kaberna, Director of Strategy over at IG.com in Chicago. Appreciate the knowledge as always.
Thanks, Brian.
So I was just curious, and thank you as always, Frank. But when I saw the cap, I Googled it because I didn't know what that was. And if this is, I don't know if this is right. Frank will probably hear me if he's still on. Is it like speedboat racing? So Frank, being the baller that he is, rocking the speedboats, and I'm sure you were in some big fancy race. This looks like some kind of James Bond stuff, though. Like I feel as if
I think there's Frank driving that.
It might be Frank driving it. I'm not sure if he is. If it is,
that's him for sure.
But like, if you think he's just good at dropping science, then you don't know his alter ego, because apparently Frank just rolls like that.
I could see him being like the Chicago-style James Bond or something like that.
I could see that.
Like this guy. That's why he's always got the hat on. He needs to be a little bit.
Essentially, he's trying to let you guys.
Not a good job being covert coming on our show, though, but, I want to thank everybody for watching.
He's the
Over
man.
5,000, 6,000 people watching. Make sure you do hit the like and subscribe, man. Let's tell Frank how much we do appreciate him coming on board. So thank you so much.
And he tried to pump the market. He tried 15,000.
It actually just stayed there. So I think it was like, pretty flat move there in the market. But when you short the right names, you hit the alarm. And there it is right there. Just as we left you guys, we had just put this trade on Google up here at 127.90, 10 cents worth of risk. You're now seeing it in the money 25. So look at this. Come over to the screen right here if you can, and then we'll have a quick look at why we're getting out. It just keeps on bouncing off the 200 period moving average, right? So this is just a scalper's dream. It hits the high of the day, comes back into the 200. That's enough. Like if you get more movement down, then that's kind of lucky, honestly. I mean, the market's up today, huge. We want to be watching the 200 period for some support. So if it does break down lower, then you're kind of just breaking the trend here of the market. And look at this market with the 50 period right now. So this is a 1 minute chart, 50 period moving average, really riding it all the way up. We are trying to break it. We've done that multiple times, poked our head underneath, poked it, and right now we're poking the bear again, but let's wait to see how much lower this name can go. My next bid is at 51. I'm gonna put it a little bit higher. Let's put it to 56. We'll have a 56, a 51. So just again, if we come back in, we've already got these prices before. Let's see if we can get them one more time, and then we want to be able to hold. So we've still got on half of our position right now, a little bit less than half, about 40% on board right now of Google. And if it comes back into the 50s, we'll get out more and more and more. So hopefully, we'll be able to get down into the 127-ish area. But right now, we're short Google up here at 128. I like the trade. I said I didn't like it because the market, but now that we're holding underneath VWAP, remember, it's a little different story when you're first putting it on and it keeps testing the highs. But now we're under VWAP and holding. So it almost looks the other way. I'd almost be nervous if I was long right now on Google. So let's see if that can hold out right now. We've got this position, and sometimes people get trapped. Let's see if people are trapped here with Google.
Just there was someone in the chat. That's Sean's 1 minute chart. You can actually see it's a 1 minute chart if you look really closely, but they're asking about the 200 period. What do you mean? So that's a 1 minute. You show a 1, a 20, and a daily. Just for reference, Sean, go ahead.
See, I just want to see.
You can
see up here that it says 1 minute, and then if you look down here, it's pretty clear. But the thing is just for what Neil was saying. I mean, thanks for clarifying with everybody.
It's only because we're all different. Like you have you have a 120 in a daily. Yeah. I have a 3 minute, a 15 minute, and a daily. It's more or less like short time frame, medium time frame, and then a daily chart. Most everyone does the same thing, but it is important because if you're looking at the same chart, you want to know, am I watching the same support and resistance? And we want to make sure we're transparent with you guys because, if I say VWAP, everyone knows VWAP, but if you say is it a simple moving average on what time frame, that does matter. So a couple of things. We just got to another push. I should have reloaded this, but didn't get into the 40s. Got back into the 60s on Intel. I like the 40s for a reload, and then now it's bouncing off of 50s in here. So it's stair-stepping to the upside, which I like. The other thing we're in, which I haven't rang the register again until we break consolidation, is still holding the highs on Sofi. That's starting to go. But new position for me was Peloton. Okay, so obviously, everything is going up today, right? I mean, everything that was down is up today. And Peloton's at a big level. On the daily, 550, this area was the consolidation resistance point on Peloton. And I was looking to short this name pretty much the entire day. I thought maybe it goes to $6. Never happened. Now it's just barcoding off this level. I'm like, okay, I'll sit in this consolidation. If it breaks 560, I can get out. If it gets to VWAP, that's down at 530. But there was also a question about Fubo. Like, what do I think about this? Like, everything that's up on sympathy, I'm having some trouble with. This is a sympathy play to the upside as well. They don't report till tomorrow. What day is today? The 2nd? They don't report till tomorrow. Oh, it's tomorrow morning. So these are another guy, but like, there's a lot to look at tomorrow. But they're up today, presumably because of Roku, I'm assuming. And because everything with the short float is up, and they have an 18% short float. I would not be excited to trade what looks like a good breakout here on the daily. This is 275. That looks like a great triple top breakout. Is that us? Okay, I don't know if anyone saw that. Maybe it was just our program monitor. But I would normally think, hey, look at the triple top break. Fubo's up 13%, 18% short flow. But when it's up on sympathy going into earnings, I don't like that breakout. I think some people might want to be taking some profit on this move, and they're looking for that break as a bit of a trap. If this was after its earnings and it was doing a Roku-like run after some kind of a decent number, fair enough. But going into the earnings, I don't really like it all that much. It was asked, so I just said it. Lemonade up 43%. No, it's not.
Tasting, refreshing drink.
It's still going.
Lemonade? Well, that's another one. What the?
30.
Is that an earnings report?
It's and 34% short float on Lemonade. Again, this is every single thing that you would think would squeeze to the upside. Yeah, 34% short float. Anything that beat that has a short float today is just showing you like a bunch of shorts. Man, if you were lined up and just winning on all of these, some fund shorting, it's like everybody covered at once and said, oops, it's time to get out of these. And how do you chase this? It's very close to a big level at 16.5. Yeah, if this makes a parabolic break up to like 16.5, I think it's worth it to look for the shorts here. Do we have free locates on this name?
Which one? Maybe.
Lemonade, the answer is yes.
Yes.
Yes, we do. I had to throw an order to see if we do. If it rejected, I would have probably paid for shorts because you're getting pretty darn close. That is insane. That's wild. To 43%. Wow. AMD, Y Brothers United says AMD pump to 110. I don't know how I'm supposed to do that. AMD, if anything, you're at 15,000 on the NASDAQ. That's once, okay, like once, twice. Technically, that's once, twice, 3 times, and then here, 108.30, it looks like, is huge resistance. So 15,000 goes. No one needs to pump it. It'll probably get to the high of the day at least. But yeah, until this breaks out, you're either buying VWAP, shorting here, or waiting for something to happen on AMD. I'm already in Intel, which is doing the same thing. It just happens to be stair-stepping up. So this one's stair-stepping up. AMD is flatlining. I'll buy the dips on the one that's going up. And that'll be the reason I take that trade. Nvidia Comp SRX says, what are they doing? Okay, well, why would you? Like, Nvidia is going. AMD is doing nothing. That's weird. Kind of the reverse of yesterday, right?
The thing, yeah, so I
still think this might not be a huge break on Nvidia. But
just so everybody knows, like, I just want to say something about Adara because, like, I've asked her to get me some information on Apple, information on Meta, and she's literally found me, like, unlimited amounts of information. So she definitely...
No such thing.
I'm going to say this girl is an extremely hard worker, so thank you so much, Adara, for doing all of that.
She's reading up on Okta right
now. That's what I'm saying. Like, she's really helping out off the air, so thank you so much, Adara, for that. All right, and then just real quick here, Google, and again, we can't, what makes the dream work? Teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
If she wasn't on the midday, I wanted to have her do lunch money with me, but unfortunately, she's doing the full midday show.
Yes, exactly. All right, so the thing about it is, right there, we got out some. It did drop down. We got that 56 that we talked about. We did not get. Wait a minute, did we get our 50? We got a 51 as well. So 56s and 51s. And then there's the bounce off. No, we did not get 51, sorry. We only got 56s. I just took a 65 right there because remember I said, like, in a perfect world, you would get down to the 200 period. Well, we got out of some, but we did hold some because we were thinking that potentially we could get a bigger flush. I just don't know who's going to send this market to the downside right now. I just retweeted something that Adara found for me. So there we go, right here. And this is pretty interesting. So if you check out this tweet right now, it shows you right here, Apple and Microsoft right now are 14% of the S&P. 4 sectors combined, energy, real estate, utilities, and materials combined, all the stocks in those sectors only equaling 12%. So it's just like the weighting in these stocks is absolutely unbelievable. And it's believable, but it's about unbelievable because it's going to affect the market so much heading into tonight, right? Microsoft was sort of hidden because I believe they reported on the same day as, was it Google or something? And they kind of went in opposite directions.
No, it was a Microsoft.
It was something where Microsoft went up and something else went down pretty dramatically that day.
I want to say Meta.
We can go back and find the day of Microsoft earnings. But the idea was that I feel like that didn't have as big an effect on the market because there was so much balancing back and forth. But today, if we throw up that board again at some point, which we probably will, the earnings board, you'll be able to see that tonight. It's really just, it's Apple's show. And
it was Google.
You're going to come out, was it Google? Yeah, so Google got killed that day.
It was Google.
Yeah, so there you go. So see, sometimes, I know we have...
Actually, oddly enough,
yeah.
Adara said that under her breath right behind
Yeah, so there you go. So the point is that that's the reasoning. So you got to sort of have some logic about that. So I feel like tonight it's Carvana, it's, I don't know, a couple other little guys there that are reporting tonight. Exactly, Coinbase. So things that the market is just going to do this to, like it was Jay-Z. So we're going to have to wait to see about Apple and where the market goes. And I'm just looking at that 15-2 dead in the face on NASDAQ. So I'm excited for Apple earnings, as I think many of us are. It's just,
I think they beat. I just don't think it's a guarantee they go up. That's why I wanted to clarify with Sharif exactly the terms of that one, because I just want my cookie, and I'm not guaranteed.
Green. We don't have any.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not guaranteed that stock closes up tomorrow.
Oh no.
But if all it has to do is beat expectations on top and bottom line and be any tick green when Sharif walks in the door, like that, I think is doable.
It's not going to be zeros. It's going to be obvious. It'll either be down or it'll be up. Because it's not going to be up 0.5%.
Because I think they beat. I just don't know if they'll. I don't know if the market rewards them. That's what I'm not sure about.
We saw Microsoft up 8%, and then it finished the day up 3% on probably the best quarter so far. Okay, here it is. So, this is what I'm talking about. Square, no thank you. Expedia, DraftKings, actually, as a stock, get your call options immediately. I have no idea what DraftKings is up right now today, but that fits the bill of everything else. I can't see anything left of Apple on my screen because this board is in the way. But look at tomorrow. Enbridge, that's not going to affect the market.
Just Live Nation and
Live
Carvana.
Nation, yeah. So there you go. You actually talked about IEP, the bottom right there. Icon.
Okay, so the thing about Icon Enterprises is when it is, there was a short seller report. When it has fallen, it has been an abject disaster. And if you're talking about names that have been beaten up, catching bids and all that good stuff, well, then look no further than the daily chart of IEP. Like this is absolutely insane. And I'm going to say something which people are going to hate. Well, some people are going to hate on this right now, but I will say this. There's a lot of flack that a certain person on CNBC gets for his calls and whatnot and all that stuff. And whatever. I grew up essentially listening to Jim Cramer, and I don't. And I've always kind of liked him. It's not an easy job, and you get a different appreciation for it when you have to be on air and talk about the markets. A lot of times you get things right and you get things wrong, and I can have a little bit more respect for that. However, I do remember one thing that he said which stuck out about IEP when people would ask about it. I don't know what's in it, cannot recommend it. And there's a part of that, and whether or not I don't know anything about this either or what's in it, but there's something about that. If you don't understand something, then you don't have to own it and you don't have to trade it. That's the thing I wanted to get out here. I'm not saying, he was right about this, ha ha ha. No, it's just if you don't understand something, you don't have to do it. You don't have to own it. You don't have to trade it. And I don't know what's in this. However, I feel like after today, the slightest little bit of something good and this stock could go parabolic. This is a halt candidate tomorrow in either direction as far as I'm concerned, just based on the volatility of that daily chart. So I wanted to get that out of the way because there's almost no chance that we're usually looking at IEP. But when it has been a mover, I remember a couple of days, people yelling in the chat, IEP to the downside. And I'm like, why the hell are we not shorting this stock? because it's not something which is usually on the radar. So anyways, I thought that's a kernel. That is one kernel that, regardless of what you think, saying something like, I don't know what's in it, it doesn't make sense, so I can't recommend it, or I don't know why this stock is going up, I'm not going to trade it. This doesn't make sense to me, I'm not going to do anything with it today. That is something that should be in your radar as a trader. To be able to say, yeah, it doesn't make sense, I don't want to touch it. IEP, oddly enough, a beaten up stock, up 5% today. They all are. If you're not, remember that rant I made about BlackBerry? And by the way, I want to get out high of the day on Intel, but I don't have an order there. So I'm going to throw an order now. I'm going to move a trailing stop. I should have reloaded this. I was thinking 40s, it went 50s. Intel's on one. If you're wondering why, probably just going to the top end of this range. Until this is broken, respect it. Like, this is an obvious channel in Intel. It's bouncing on higher lows, now also supported by the 200-period moving average. And this channel top has been respected the entire way. It now sits at 41. So I'll tell you this right now. This stock gets to 41, I'm trimming. Or 40. I'm trimming at the top of this range. And then if it gets back into the bottom, I'll probably buy again unless something stupid happens. So we'll see, but Intel to the upside there. Want to make sure I respect that. Steve G. AG got spanked for cutting dividends. I mean, dividend names cutting dividends. No, he's AG. AG is saying. And Nvidia is absolutely flying. So the reason why I'm probably going to get that offer is the chips are now flying due to Nvidia doing that.
Congratulations!
Oh, if you took, hopefully that AMD broke out for somebody.
Did it break 110 yet? No. It got up there today.
Like, see, this is the thing. AMD did too much yesterday. It did too much. Yeah. I mean, the reason AMD is probably not giving you a big breakout, when you just saw that in Nvidia, Intel was flying. I'm sure Micron's having a good day. I'm sure Marvell's probably at the high of the day. AMD did all the heavy lifting all day yesterday. So to expect it to do that again right now is asking a lot when the futures are chilling at 15,000 on resistance and not going anywhere. That is the problem. It's nothing against AMD, but what more are you going to ask for? And as I say that, this is just for myself. I said it out loud, and I'm curious about it because they don't report for another few weeks here. And Marvell is having a nice day, but it's still underneath 50 bucks. Marvell the other day was very strange in that, like, there was the last couple of days, every time we have a big push, Marvell has been struggling to get off this bottom. And I know they don't report for a while, but I feel as if, given how this is traded, there might be an opportunity for it to really run going into earnings. The way I've seen the chips start to go, this will be on the radar for $50 tomorrow, Marvell. It's finally starting to go, and this has been just languishing at the bottom. And I know they got caught up in the pullback off of all the chips pulling back and then the AI names pulling back. This one felt a bit overdone. Like, it's below that big earnings breakout. Really? Like, is it okay this far back in? Not a bad company.
No, I like Marvell. We've traded that. I mean, I like a lot of the chip names, but I think you're going to want to trade the biggest names, right? And that's going to be the AMDs and the Nvidias, and I just think that's what's good. So we'll wait to see Marvell. Hopefully some more coming for them and shareholders. But there it is again. We'll just go again right now. We'll just go this, because this is what Google feels like right now. It's just, as I said, it's still under VWAP. I'm not reloading it. We just got another 56. We still yet to get a 51, Phil. We're waiting for that. And if you're wondering about the implied move today on Apple, there it is, 3%.
Yeah.
So it was about 6% on AMD, and AMD went 10, almost 10 yesterday. So three and a bit there for Apple, plus or minus. This is it. So their last couple reports there have given you decent moves. So this is why I don't think that we'll be at a 0 tomorrow to hopefully make. But it's not really a bet, is it? Right?
Oh, I was gonna pull a loony out and say $1 says it's.
No, but no, I was talking about the one with Sharif, because it's
okay.
It's just that if it's green, he brings Starbucks.
Yeah.
It's not, So anyways, on August, back in August, their last Q there, Q2, you're seeing down 5. Then that was matched by the quarter before. That's a big number. I wonder what was up. That's so. Again, a year ago this quarter, right? So you had an 8% move. Well, let's call it 7.5. Okay, so EPS obviously always somewhat in line. The estimated EPS, they're just a consistent beat, except for right here actually. This day they miss on EPS, but yet are still up 2 and a bit percentage points. So yeah, man, let's just continue to celebrate Apple, and hopefully we'll get some good earnings to come through tonight for them. And then, like we already showed that board, I'm interested on, join me tonight ASAP. I think Apple is normally a little bit later. I'm going to say 420-ish, 415. So we'll still have it up. We'll have the board. I'm logged in over there. Everything's ready to go. So yesterday we had a little bit of a back and forth there with the computer kind of restarting itself and everything. So I went over there during Frank Kaberna's segment and got it all updated. So I'm going to get over there in a minute. But look at Carvana, just to make sure. Look at Carvana today. And again, you know, like, why is this stock doing this? Well, we've already answered the question. Any name that has a big short float today seems to be doing a little bit better as we get the feeling that interest rates, yes, sir, as interest rates are starting to hopefully get pulled back in as we wait to see what the next Fed move is. We talk about it being 1, 2, 3 good trades, right? Well, all you need sometimes is exactly that. So here's Google pulling back in. It's 320. This is going to be a good one for me. We'll double check on Palantir and all those other ones. And by the way, our PayPal order is still there to break this level. So unfortunately, you know, it's not that unfortunate. We're making money on the full boat of Google shares. We only have 10% left of PayPal, and that's going to come out if it breaks this 54.65. We put that trade in a long time ago, but now the 200 period is all the way up here, and we've broken it. I still like to see us break that level, but, you know, it's probably going to do it. So if you are still in this from the long 53s from earlier, then this may be a good spot for you to think about going the other way in this name. So we'll wait for PayPal, but for right now, it's making the move back in a little bit, down to 54.70 here for PYPL. My drop spot, the order is in at 54.64. And then just to talk a little bit about Google here, because again, we don't really have too many low targets. You know, 127 is always real nice. Let me just zoom this back out to see, yeah, so we're almost into, we're not almost, but down at 127 would be the day's low. So that's a wick bottom of 126.90. That's not going to happen. So I think into here is a good target, man. 20s, 25s. So if I was smarter, I'd use Fibonacci or something like that. But I'm just going to sit here and play support and resistance. Like, that was a good hold there at 30. All right, let's go 30s. Like, we're almost there. So I'm still impressed.
Living on a prayer?
Yeah, living on a prayer. Yeah, we're halfway there. But right now,
true, yeah.
Yeah. You still got to go a little bit more for living on a prayer. But there it is. I was already bidding 36s, so I already had a bid there. I just put another one at 44. What's a good player 44? There must be a whole bunch. Morgan Riley, I think, has a Maple Leaf.
Well, I mean, 44, you should be going football, right? Because that's all.
Yeah, but why can't I think of it?
Fullbacks.
Yeah,
like,
can we think of something?
I think Allstott was 44.
No, I think he was 42.
Was he 42 or 44?
We're going to go with 42 or
what
40.
What number was Mike Allstott, everybody?
40 or 42 is my guess. I'm going to say 42.
I thought 44.
Could be 44.
Well, there's a famous fullback somewhere that's wearing 40. He was 40, apparently. Okay, well. It is a fullback number. I'm always thinking fullback when you say the number 44. In baseball, 44.
It's not, for some reason.
Strawberry was 45, I think.
Yeah, I can't, for some reason. Why is this stumping us so badly?
No, they're saying 40, so it looks like it was
40. No,
Allstott,
fine. I knew he wasn't 44, but I didn't. Jim Brown?
Jim Brown.
No. Isn't he 42 as well?
I see.
And now I'm.
Reggie Jackson. Oh, for the love of. Yeah, I'm a baseball guy.
That's.
All right. So,
well, we knew there was one. We knew there. Hey, I mean, whatever.
I guess put it this way. If anybody knows what the immaculate grid is in baseball, let's just say I am a champion at that game. So for me to not get a legend is terrible.
That's.
I think I'll show you what that thing is. But like, I owned a lot of baseball cards, and my dad had this rule. Like, once a week we had to go to the library, and we always had to be reading. So we get a bunch of books, and my cheat code was to read every single baseball book in the entire library system and always be reading almanacs. Like, I'd have an almanac every single year. So I know way too much about 1980s and 1990s baseball than any regular human being should. So that's why I'm really good at that stuff. So for me to forget something. John Riggins, how the hell are we missing those?
I saw someone put that earlier. I mean, there's the older guys.
Easy.
It's more like, I'm just surprised, like, because there's so many, like, the double digits. I just thought there would have been more.
I'm mad at myself. Mariano Rivera's 42. That's
easy.
Because of Jackie Robinson. I wore 42 in my men's league for like 20 years. That's my favorite number. My daughter knows it. When I was in grade 5, we had to do like a historical figure thing, like big monologue, and it was like a gigantic research project. And I'm doing Jackie Robinson. She's like, you're gonna do an athlete? Everyone's doing like, I don't know. Like you had basically like political people here and there, like Mahatma Gandhi. It was Gandhi and I don't know, former prime ministers and all that. And I'm doing Jackie Robinson because I love baseball. But let's go back to the market for a second. I got the high of the day, so I'm out. We'll ring the register on Intel. Thank you very much to Nvidia and all the other chips for bringing it to the upside because it was a very slow churn. Missed at least two reloads. So we added here. See, the problem is like you could add here instead of here. Distinction without a difference. It's just better. And the reason this is better is because you know it's working if you add here. Like you're getting the higher low and the consolidation up. When you add here, you're just kind of hoping it's going to go in that moment. So works out, but still kind of sloppy. As we go higher, what the heck is Sofi doing? Like okay, now it's pulling back in. All right, holding on. This is either getting me the high of the day again, or it's going to pull back into VWAP. So I want Sofi. I'll put an offer in front of the top. And then if it gets to VWAP, I'll just get out if it breaks past break even. I'm long at 801 here. NIO, because it's a Chinese ADR and it's not moving, short off 88 here. It's holding VWAP, so I took some out. I have a bid underneath VWAP to get some more out. And then Peloton. Peloton was the short at that 550 consolidation, rolling on over into VWAP. I don't know if this will go flush city. It just doesn't, it doesn't feel like any of these high-flying names seem to want to have that hammer candle to the downside. Like there's pullbacks. It looks better on a 15-minute than it does on that 3-minute chart, where it's very slowly going because it just made one move down. But on a normal day, when Peloton shouldn't be doing anything, and their quarter wasn't good, by the way, I'd expect this to be giving it all the way back up to $5. Now I'm not even sure it can get there. That's the kind of day these flyers have been doing. Now all of a sudden everybody's out there with like just every kind of name. Tom Rathman, Chuck Foreman. I love this community. The funny thing about it, there's a number of times that we'll say something or we'll forget, and then instead of Googling it, we say it out loud, and then you guys just tell us. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. These guys.
I forget an earnings day or the name of a CEO or pronounce the company wrong, which happens from time to time, and you guys are all over it. Meta's starting to make a bit of a move.
What happened to all those like low float names that we used to always talk about, like back and forth, back and forth? Now I don't seem like we haven't really discussed too many.
On a day like today,
I don't know, but I haven't seen any.
If one was going, it's getting overshadowed by the squeeze names.
Yeah.
Like, what's Mullen doing today? If Mullen's not up today, they really suck.
I just mean like some of those randomer ones, like RVHB or
RVHB.
I don't know. There was some yesterday. What was the one yesterday that was moving? RHVB?
RHVB, I think.
I have no idea. I'm throwing this out there. Or other ones that we see all the time, like a Tupperware or names like that. I don't really feel like
Tupperware's a squeeze name. That's a big short float.
Yeah, and just thinking that there's been, I know Lemonade for sure. Okay, so I think that DraftKings, I mean, look, I just said this without even looking at it. When we talked about it earlier, I was like, DraftKings is probably another name that's up today. And again, it's just fitting the narrative, right? And that's what I was getting at there with the low float names. And it's just like short float, not that this has a low float, sorry. So again, DraftKings here today. Let's just double check it. You guys can all, right now it's test drive time, by the way, for trade ideas. You can get everything for $11 and use TraderTV 25. So it's like $8. Okay, so right now, I like this. We have it set up. Trader TV 20, perfect. Okay, there it is right there, Trader TV 20. It was 25 on the weekend, so my bad. But right there, you could just type it in right now, and you can find out what the short float is. And what I was getting at there is you can also, actually, not that bad. I thought it was higher. So it's only 6. You can ask Michael Noss for anything. Go find him on X at Michael Noss, CMT. At Trade Ideas, all that. Ask for Michael. He has our layouts, and he has different charts that we use, scanners that we use. Like, for example, I mean, I just have this one. This is here we go right here. This is a crossing VWAP scanner. So right here, Alibaba, Google. I mean, these are all, each one of these is actually half hour, half hour, half hour. That's kind of fluke, but whenever it hits, I see it, right? And I have it set up for specific names. So they're all the big cap names, so it's not like it's not rocket science or anything, but now it's sticking its head below there. But that's why I just have it up on different screens. So that's kind of the stuff that both Neil and I are looking at. And you can hit that up, Trader TV 20 for any package whatsoever on Trade Ideas website. But more importantly, the The quick test drive is
That is
still
the
on.
key. And just
Until the 11th, I believe.
just more proof of like when we say we use it, that we mean it. Like if I say BHIL is breaking the high of the day right now, high of the day Momo scanner, BHIL is all over it. It's the only thing that's doing anything right now on there. I got gappers on this list as well. So if you want any of our layouts and what we use, fair enough. And then here you go. Like here's something breaking high. So when in the afternoon when I'm scanning for things that are going, yes, I listen to the chat, but I'm also looking at an actual scanner to see if there's a low float or some kind of runner that's giving us trades. I also have this one up, and I'm going to shout out to anyone that looked at Meta just now. But it's like a pullback into prior resistance. That can sometimes like you pullbacks into support and resistance can be good, but Meta just did one. Just now, so I have that scanner up. There's a lot of things you can do with trade ideas, and we're just sort of letting you guys know what we do. And Meta, if you look at it, I mean, it's finally going. Okay, it's not going much, but it's something. Like, how many times did it bounce off this low? This was probably worth it. This was really worth a shot. I hope somebody took a shot at this. I know it was down all day long with the market pressing higher, but at some point when it just bounces off this same low, which by the way, that was yesterday's top before Fed, and your consolidation breakout area is exactly where it barcoded. That's not a bad level usually, and you got yourself $1 if you took it. I saw someone say they were in the dollar club for this because they just said, hey, quadruple bottom when the market's up 1.7%, why not buy Meta? Well, it worked for you if you did. I just couldn't figure out why the heck it was so weak. So I wasn't really going to do it. Apple, low hanging. Oh, it was Jeff Wright. So shout out to you. There you go, Jeff Wright. Congratulations. Sometimes the chat moves fast, and I might miss the name. I see somebody. I saw Meta, and I saw someone say they took a shot at it, but I might have missed the name, and then I scroll and can't find it. If you tag us, I can always find it, but if you don't tag us, then it's hard to see. Apple pulling back, but not to VWAP. It's 3:30. The early look on the imbalances is a whopping $205 million to the buy side, for what it's worth. I don't know how much that's going to move the market. Probably not much, because 15,000 is here, and 15,000 is like, we're not doing anything. So forcing trade, here's the thing. On a Fed day, remember yesterday, things are moving around. You got volatility. You're hitting key levels. Whether you like it long or short, there's going to be something for you. Here, you got to pick your poison, because we're in a 10-handle range for the last half an hour. And we're at a resistance spot. So unless you get an entry that you really love, I don't know that you want to be forcing trades, and that should always be reflected in the way that you're acting as a trader. So I'm in things that I'm holding. I don't know if we get entries. Like VWAP would be nice. Maybe Apple you get there. Bongzilla says Boeing's having a good day. Forgot all about Boeing.
They made a delivery of 100-something planes or something.
Where do you think the dip buy was today at 9:30?
Me? 190. I don't know.
Yep.
Oh, really? I wasn't even. Okay.
Remember 190 in Boeing? Dip into 190, quick rip into 3, then higher lows the rest of the day. Boeing's having a good day. That was the key level. And sometimes, you get away from things. I look at everything that I didn't trade at 9:30 in lieu of taking Roku.
Yeah.
In lieu of taking Roku, like Roku was what I was watching. I had level 2 dedicated to it, looking for the pullback, and Roku didn't happen. Boeing 190 continuation, that would have been a winning trade. Talked about Qualcomm already. It can be frustrating. That's what'll frustrate me today, because this is exactly what I wanted the breakout to be. Like I was in this twice, not looking to scalp it, looking for a push into 193, and then today it does the move on a dip buy. That's what'll happen. Stick to. Don't give up on a name just because it doesn't go day one. Sofi is a great example of that. Shout out to everybody that stuck with Sofi after it failed that move here on earnings, because after the fail, boom, breakout, local bottom, consolidation, dip buy into the previous range. Then today you get breakout, consolidation higher. Now I made one trade. Look, we had some trades in it the other couple of days, but all you had to do was let it settle down and just go long after the fail. And you've been just winning on that. It's all about patience. Lemonade breaking 16. At some point, this has to be a short. It doesn't have to be. I just think it is. Should never speak in certainty. What I mean to say is, at some point, people are taking profit in this. I think people are taking profit. 16.5 seems like it makes some sense here. This is ridiculous lemonade. 45%. I haven't read I have no idea what the report was. I usually read it. I have not. I no longer own this. I own the stock. There were a lot of things I owned during COVID that I held on to 10% of that I shouldn't have. I didn't hang on to the 10% forever. I eventually got out of this one. Same thing with, I held on to 10% of Affirm longer than I probably needed to. I held on to 10% of Virgin Galactic longer than I needed to. The one that I got out of and did not hold on to the final 10% of was oddly the one that I really needed to get out of, and that was Silvergate. Oddly enough, that was when I'm like, I'm not holding on to any of this on the flush. Unfortunately for myself, I took that 10% and put it into Coinbase. So I did marginally better because one went bankrupt.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, one is a zero. So
I should just bought Bitcoin.
You might have done more than marginally better on that one. Okay, so as expected, not as expected, but what we've been looking for here. And again, I don't have many trades on, only Google right now. And that's because honestly, we're waiting for Apple. And someone just tweeted at me as I was talking about Apple there, and I put it here. And anyways, join me at 4 o'clock. We'll have all the Apple stuff coming through right now. Where was it? I believe it was part of this tweet. No, it was not. Someone messaged me and said, I thought Apple had beat had missed the last 3 or 4 times. And then that's when I was just going to show it to you, but I just do it right here anyways. I was just retweeted this because we already sort of talked about that. And that is the implied moves, right? So the implied move is 3%. Look at the last 3 times. The last one was down 5. Before then, we had win, win, win. And then you can go back over and actually, there it is. Just go previous year. You see that was mixed that year. It only goes back because it's not a paid account. So right there, pretty good movement there. There's the estimated EPS. There's the beat. So we'll have to just wait to see where we go. So that's going to be Apple. Should be a fun name to trade. And we are going to do that here. You can actually trade Apple. I'm not going to do it, but you can trade Apple after hours. The liquidity should be okay. I don't necessarily recommend doing it. But again, let's just see what Apple's doing right now as we do have the big guy coming through. So we did trade this earlier. We wanted to be long all day. We were long all day until it went to the high of the day. Obviously, we've touched a little bit higher than where we got out, but we got in at about 10 o'clock. And we also did talk about wanting to get into this name once it baselined. So it baselined there early at about, that was not early, it was about 10 o'clock. And we saw 176 against VWAP and against the 200. So those were really good for us. And then since then, it's had nothing but love to the upside. And we did have a nice little dump down into 176. But if you're going to go 3% on 177, you could move, again, $10 back or forth, something like that. Let's wait to see what happens. And there's the fill on Google. So as we get a little more patient, I tweeted it out. I was just like, just doing this afternoon. Just trying to top out some of the day there with Google. But we can still look at more names. Let's see how insane Roku is here today. Okay, so it's kind of calmed down now. Funny to say that when it's up 31%. But this top of $79. Yeah, just being a little bit distracted here and being like, just trying to focus on a few different things.
I got to shout out Bears versus Bulls.
Yeah, we always do, man. That guy's the best. But that 79 top on Roku was pretty nice.
There were some questions in the chat about the campus program, and sometimes you guys will ask us questions and we might miss it because we're busy, we're talking, we're trading, and all that good stuff. And then Bears versus Bulls is just absolutely all over everything. There was a question about Affirm that I wanted to get to. Weirdly enough, like Affirm is another trade where, and it's always up to anybody else, like how you want to trade it. But I shorted it basically off the 2050 level or the local high off the 2050 several times. And the good news is because of risk, because of R&R, it ends up being not that bad relative to any other thing that I traded today. But it has been trend up. Like everything else, it has been trend up. I thought, generally speaking, like I think the whole like swing stair step down thing, it was a win really. If you look at it, this breakdown pretty cleanly, it never got to 15. I thought this was going to retest the 200 period moving average. I didn't see a day like today coming on these squeeze names. So obviously, when that happens, the last step down ends up breaking back out the top. However, Affirm. I'm just going to double check because I want to be right about this. They report next week, so they report on the 8th. The week, so a week on Wednesday they report. So I would fully expect, to a certain extent, they had the deal with Amazon. Okay, we've seen them sell off after getting spikes on that news before. Are we really expecting them to have a great quarter? I don't know that that's going to be the case. So if this is right back into that 23 to 25 zone next week, I know what I will be thinking, and I'm willing to take a shot at the short at that if it gets into that level. A little bit overdone here. I think it's just a very big sympathy play, and then big news on a firm. But I was shorting essentially one level, and it's third step up. I gave it up once it took out that local high at 2080. And it's just rocket ship. But the short float's 20% on a firm, which means today that it was going to go up. When are you guys going to start options trading? ETA is I don't know the exact ETA.
I can send an email to business development, but
yeah, it's soon. We don't know exactly when.
I was told about two or 3 weeks ago that we were still a couple months away, but that it was potentially there before the new year.
Okay, I mean, yeah, we've been saying that for a bit, but
now.
Yeah, we'll figure that out for you. The VIX today. Oh wow, ATAC Fenner. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I haven't even, like the VIX is taking out the bottom. So I track a few things that you don't see. Well, I mean, we show them to you. Like I'll have a BTC chart. Shout out to everybody that told me to go trading view for the dark mode, being better than Binance. So now I use this, and now I use it for the VIX as well. So shout out to everybody there. But breaking these lows, yeah, you're going to be chilling at these highs, trend down. I like to have that confluence when you're making trades. If you're trading off of a key price level or taking an equity name in a market reverse or just trading coin or Mara or like whatever you're doing, I like to have this. I like to have TLT. And if I see like multiple reasons to get into a trade, I'm going to like it a little bit more. And if I don't, then maybe you don't decide to reload because you don't like, okay, like the VIX is bouncing off of a key price level or something, or it's breaking out a top. So I don't want to reload along. I don't know, like little things like that. Speaking of which, if we're breaking high of the day and we're not breaking this consolidation in Sofi, the previous top, I want to get some out here. We're not going to get to the top. I'm not doing anything but covering this trade. All right, I'm just going to put it on the midpoint because it's not moving, so therefore I'm going to offer the midpoint there and see if I can't get it that way. Midpoint being 814.5, and then I'll see if I can get that fill. Hasn't the VIX been broken? In some ways, yes. AMD, Intel, synchronous spike is what I think you meant to say there. Little spike there for Intel. I'm already out of it, but it's back to the high of the day. AMD, what are you doing? Yeah, a little bit of a spike. AMD is just, it's not really moving. This is not the one to trade. I think VWAP would have been a good level for a scalp, but it hasn't been doing much of anything. 15,000 has broken too many times for us to yell out 15,000 break. Because I saw in the chat, hey, 15,000 NQ. I'm with you, Darwin, but like we've been breaking 15,000 for a half an hour now. Actually, for an hour now. For an hour, we've been breaking 15,000 and going nowhere. And you just do not want to get rinsed when this is happening. Jameson Barna, Nvidia 500 by earnings. I've been saying the last couple of days that I feel as if Nvidia is a bit different from all the other names running. And so my answer is, long story short, I don't think so, but I could be wrong about that. I just feel like the way it's bouncing off 400, lower highs all the way through, compare that to, look what you saw with AMD, the way it spiked yesterday. Compare that with the spikes in Amazon. Compare that with, until today, how strong Meta has been going. So, and then I also look at the reaction that Marvell has had. It just feels as if it's not as enthusiastic, the buying off that level, until yesterday with the Fed. If you take out yesterday with the Fed, look at the buying off of that 400 level compared to the last two times. So I'm not nearly as bullish on that bounce at 400 as I was the last few, and I wouldn't be surprised if it fails 450 or somewhere around here. But I could be wrong. I felt that way all week, and I'm not really changing it just because of one good Fed day, response to Fed day. Let's go to the desk and take care of some business.
Brought to you by IG.com. Trade Forex pairs like Euro USD with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and zero commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Frank Kaberna, for stepping up as well. Hit that IG scan code, QR code immediately. But there it is. I tweeted this out about 2 hours ago, 140, 136 right there, that this was the key level for me, 15,050. So as we talk about it, Darwin and everybody in the chat there, I don't, 15,000, we've been here, there's some consolidation there. I'm looking at 15,050, and it's going to come into play probably, could even come into play now. You're 50 handles away from it, but heading into this imbalance tonight, we'll see. It's relatively muted. We had it, did we get what it was from Brendo? Oh, look at 200. Okay, so PayPal with a nice dump out there as well. We out of that one. That sucks. We got out of it. We did buy some more. Once we broke the 50 period, we bought some more, but now Google's coming back in. I do have a bid at 51 now for Google to get out because that's where, the 200 period is right here actually now at 54. So I'm gonna move that 51, put it to 53, or put it to 54. Put it to 55, put it to 54 right now and grab it. So there we go right now on that one. We'll wait to see if we can get a 54 now. See, like, why do I care about the penny, really? It's so stupid, but hopefully it comes in and gives us that as we're just getting closer and closer to being emptied out right now. And this is what those imbalances look like for now. So there we go. We get to 54. So let's go rate that one again. We'll just, we'll do this one. Yeah, this is all that's really been happening. It's like the guys come with a plate of dollar bills and we're just putting them on there. So right now, forget about this. This is from 914. I have no idea what this is. But right now, if you're going to look, pretty mixed. That's why that number is pretty light. These are only NYSE imbalances, and these are the market on closed order types. So this is going to hit the market at 350, and then it's all going to become public, so in 5 minutes. And then also you're going to get the NASDAQ joining the party. As you can see, these are all NYSE names. So these are indicated buy or sells for closing prints. So you put your market on close orders. You probably have it in your platform. Market on close order type, and if you do, that's what this is. So, you know, it just kind of adds it all up for you, and then we can see where, you know, the interest is coming through. So we don't get anything on NASDAQ until 350 on that one. Did Carvana break 30 bucks? I got that on my mind, yes. So I got that on my mind there a little bit. There's gonna be an interesting name coming through reporting later on tonight as well. That's going to be a good one. Eli Lilly, we didn't really talk too much about it. Not a great day trading stock just because of the spread. But I'm wondering on a day like today if it would have been a little bit of a better stock to trade. But there's Eli Lilly, 580 VWAP. Nice move back up, taking that 50 period again as everybody waits for Mounjaro to get diabetes approval, or no, weight loss approval on that one.
So taking care of business just reminded me of something.
All right.
So it's already 3:46. So you know what I'm probably going to say right now. I look up. It's been a good day. 4,000 watching. Yeah. I actually haven't hit the likes. I'll put that. Oh man, we got to hit the likes. 567 likes out of 400,000. Now you know who's back in the building, but we are contractually obligated to make sure that you see this.
Like, subscribe, and share the show that takes you into the heart of the market every day.
Yeah.
Whether it's the most busy earnings day, whether it's the Fed, or it doesn't really matter. Heck, man, on the half day when the market doesn't do much of anything, we're going to be here. And we're still going to be here, regardless. As long as the U.S. market's open, that's what we're here. And it's free. Shout out to Jane Doe. Thank you for the super chat there.
Boom.
The creative name. We appreciate all of you. And again, it's just about spreading the love and everybody learning. I just saw that great conversation in the chat talking about Apple earnings and some options plays in there. And that's what I love about this community. That's why we want to grow it. That's why we're always looking to make it even bigger and better. And another thing that I have to get to this stock because somehow, this will happen on a day like today, somehow I haven't heard anybody say Nike today. And, you know, like how many times is Nike going to have I think it was up almost 5% at one point, up 4%. It's making power moves today. This has been a beaten up name, which caught one bid. Come to my daily chart for a second if we can. It's Ramin there. Thank you. Caught one bid off 90, holds the 50 period moving average, and then bounces yesterday off $100. So a couple of higher lows into a double top at 106. So if Nike's not on the radar tomorrow, then, well, it should be. I'll just leave it at that. I don't really have a funny saying for that. It's just, if it's not on the radar, it should be. You guys can imagine I said something a lot cooler than that, and then we'll go from there. So double top on the daily for Nike. Ridiculously strong day today. We're just talking buying on top of buying and no pullback with insight. That's the kind of thing that should get your attention. It's got my attention, so 106 for sure. Hog saying in chat, Meta 320 tomorrow. That'd be nice. The way it traded today, I mean, I don't know if we see that the way it traded today. What do we think Carvana is going to do?
Right.
Over 10%.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Based on what today is.
No, I have no blade direction. I have no idea which direction. Like, which way should it go? Fundamentally, probably down. But after today, like, who's very confident that Carvana, despite probably not gonna have a great quarter? That said, you know, they did there were some things on their call, and that people smarter than me were saying they're getting some things right in their turnaround, which last time spooked the shorts. So I want to say that I would not want to be short the name. That's all. I'll leave it at that, because I remember hearing some pretty smart people saying some decent things about that quarter. Personally, I don't get it, and I think the way the economy is going probably should head to the downside. But after today, if you're confident about any of these squeeze names going to the downside, I think you're being overconfident. Like, allow it to. I think there's an opportunity tomorrow to short this thing. If it gets to 60, that's insane. If it sees the mid 40s, that's obvious. I think there's some shots that you want to take, but you can believe that, and you can be. We have 30 seconds to the amounts come up, but you can believe that. But then look at Lemonade. Does anybody think Lemonade would be at $16 today? No. Did you think it was a short of 14? Probably. If you took it, hope you had an out. That kind of a thing. So Carvana, they had an investor tour yesterday of their place in Haines City, Florida. Cool. Didn't know that. But we have the imbalances in about 10 seconds. I'm going to make sure I have it up here. I'm not expecting anything crazy. The early look was 200 million to the buy side. I have tight stops on pretty much everything that I'm in right now as we get them. So Sofi near the high of the day. Piton's not going to care. Neil's not even moving. BAC, 1 million sell. TLT is 1.2 million to buy.
Ooh.
In a strong market, that makes sense. Alphabet there, million sell. Intel, 900 million to buy, not in that anymore. Lucid's a sell of 800,000. Snapchat's an 800,000 sell. There's Amazon, 800,000 to sell on Amazon. Where's Apple? AMD's there
Google's
for 500,000. Where the heck's Apple? Mike, where's Apple? No, I don't even see Apple at all. I'm not scrolling forever, but suffice to say, Apple's not on there. So going into earnings, it looks like there's nothing happening on Apple.
All right, finite. That's it. Google down into the 40s, boom. I was waiting for 30, down into there. We only had 10% left. I just thought about it, forget about it. We'll just get out now on that. And I did look to see what Carvana was all up to. There it's 15.5%, 15.3% implied move. So guess what Carvana's up today? It's actually up 15%. So we'll see if it gives it all back tomorrow or not after close tonight for CVNA. Let's see what happens with Carvana. So yeah, that should be a good one. You know, we're going to talk about everything. Oh, I mean,
it will be. This is the thing. It will be a good one. It's just it's going to move. You know it's going to move.
I just put this out right now, so 41 votes. Right now it looks like it's pretty mixed, man.
Really?
Will Apple beat EPS tonight? Yay or nay right now. So only 46 votes. We just put this up.
That makes sense.
Get over and vote now. I'll put this, or Bears versus Bulls. Put it in the chat. Let's see where we go. We'll talk about that on the recap show. We'll open it up. We'll show everybody. Uh-oh, now 50-50. So get ready. Get your votes in. It's just an EPS beat. That's it. This is not a Starbucks bet or anything like that. Will they beat on EPS? So we'll wait to see where we go tonight for Apple coming through. We've actually talked about their last couple reports there. They missed last time, down 4%. They beat EPS. This is the thing, right? They beat EPS, but still down the next day. So we'll wait to see what exactly happens and what comes through for Apple tonight. It should be a doozy. I think for me, just like all these names, I think it's kind of obvious and easy pickings to say this, but it's really just going to be about the guide.
Yeah,
so we saw that with AMD. AMD actually on their number went down to $94. Can you believe that 2 days ago at this time you could have got AMD, well, not at this time, but about 4:15 when they reported, you could have got AMD down here at $94. And that was after the report. This spike had nothing to do with their earnings report. Absolutely nothing. It had to do with them talking about their future look at AI, okay? Because we were watching it live and it tanked down to $94 and was baselining at 94, just going back and forth until the call where they guided forward on their data centers and on their AI, generative AI chips. So that's the thing, right? So you got to make sure that you watch out for all the reports coming in and see what happens tonight with Apple. Obviously, the market's going to focus there, which is why that's where my focus is. And I guess that was a good one, as we were very, very bullish today, but we had two big shorts on today. Okay, one is this Google Reloaded. The other one is a one-and-done thriller with Palantir, as we shorted the top and then got out right there. It's never seen the top again. But we got out decently. We didn't get the best price of 20 down there, but we got 50s back to the 200 period. So those were the two shorts that we had today, and they were both pretty decent.
I just got out of NEO, which finally rolled over. Why not? So it got to the bottom. I actually thought this wasn't going to do anything, but inside the range. I think this is one where tomorrow, man, NEO bounced off that almost 52-week low. If it can get through $8, this has a chance to go. And I'm not saying I love the company. It's just, I mean, everything else has been off the bottoms the last couple of days. So why not NEO? You can do it NIO. But the short today in front of 8, to me, made a lot of sense once it stalled out. I'm still in Peloton. We only have 6 minutes to go here. Peloton, of course, not being on the New Zealand market. That's just me whenever I hit enter too fast. But bouncing off VWAP. So I was just looking for it to get down into 525. I'm not going to reload this, obviously, anymore. Just cancel that, and let's get in the 530s and just get out of that trade. If it gets through break even, no need to hold on to it. I'll just get out. And then Sofi. I've already tightened up the stop on Sofi. This was one that, yeah, well, you pretty much could have had this long. You could have been sitting in it all day long, realistically. It's just, it took a while for it to go. It's weird. I don't know why it went at 2 o'clock. I actually have no idea why this went at 2 o'clock. It doesn't make, it was literally doing, it was doing literally nothing all day long. And something had just like 210, all of a sudden Sofi started going and then stalled at the high of the day. It gets very weird. And if someone has an explanation as to why, I'm all ears. It doesn't really matter at this point. But let me just get on the midpoint again, which oddly punched out. Okay, so I offered the midpoint and got out instantly. Like it was, oh no, never mind, that was a fill somewhere else. Yeah, I'm on the midpoint trying to catch that fill. Just gonna get out, it's only 4 minutes left in the day. And Meta is ramping up. Congratulations, man. But you know what, I was taking that quote, like if you don't understand something, there's the fill on SoFi. If you don't understand something, you don't have to do it. And that's what got me away from trying Meta off this bottom. I didn't really have a good grasp as to why this was down, and I figured, okay, you don't have to trade it, but it made a great bottom here. And that's the kind of trade where the risk to reward, it's hard for you to screw up a long off a bottom like this from an R&R perspective. If you wonder why on a day where stocks do this, a lot of day traders want to pick bottoms, it's because of the simplicity of the trade. Because if you like it, you're almost never going to get rinsed on that trade unless you hold through the bottom or average in as it breaks down underneath that, unless you have to do something really silly. Or you could do a false break at the bottom. There's lots of ways to set that trade up that are just fantastic. Now, I didn't see Palantir on the imbalances, but I can double check for you there. VXS, still nothing. Everything's paired off after 355. So Palantir, nothing big here. Woof, what a nasty stock that is. That's probably up today now that I think about it. But yeah, Meta, good day today. What else we got going on? So nothing on Palantir that I could see. Apple, probably something I want to watch going into the close. I think this is the one to have up for obvious reasons. Going to close at the high of the day. Impressive is all I got to say about Apple today being up at that top. I did think there would be a pullback into VWAP. I want to make sure I don't have any orders on it. Might even want to punch out of this Peloton as well. But a good day for this bad boy. Again, I'm not completely convinced. I'm just going to get on the mid, or I'm just going to punch out. So Peloton, not the fall that I was looking for. And at this point, you got 3 minutes to go. I will not be surprised if Apple has a beat and it's not supported the way that you want it to. Big run up going into it. You are getting pretty close to some local resistance anyways. And if I were to draw a dirty trend line, which I'm going to do for you now, that's not perfect. Okay, that's actually not even that great, but it's close enough. It is more or less going to be on trend resistance. So it's a kind of place where if you were to fail it, I could see there being some sellers, especially after you had a nice little ramp up. Not really 10%, like 7% in the last couple of sessions. So good day for Apple. Comp SRX, now Neil again, you're sensible. I'd like to think that I'm always sensible. The only person that doesn't think I'm sensible at times is my wife. So I like to think I'm more of a sensible style of trader, and that's just the way I think. So you have to be the trader that you are. Implied move on Apple was Sean had it up. I saw 3 to 3.5%. I don't remember exactly. I'm going to say 3 to 3.5. Again, that doesn't mean that's what it's going to be. I mean, what was the implied move on AMD? Right? Like, I don't know what the implied move was. It moved a heck of a lot more than that. We've seen sometimes you can double up. It's a guide. The way I like to think about implied move is if it breaks too far away from that. If you think it's 3% and all of a sudden Apple is breaking 4% tomorrow in either direction, I'm generally thinking some continuation past that. So that's the way I like to look at it. Picky eater, you're right. My wife is always right. But let's get back into the 1 minute to go until the market is closed. So hands off the keyboard. I got no other positions on. We're not going to put any more on. I do want to be looking at Apple going into this close. It's been an absolutely ridiculous day in terms of the amount of volatility we've seen. I cannot remember the last time we had this many names running and going from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40 in some more ridiculous cases. And tomorrow, there's at least a chance some of that unwinds. Like, what the heck, if Apple responds poorly to good earnings, this could get really nasty to that downside. But we'll deal with that tomorrow. You know where you're going after the show. Even Coinbase was moving today. Didn't even say this. Bitcoin is at 35,000, and it's like 359.30 that we're mentioning. Bitcoin at 35,000. So Mara's probably running right now. That puts them into play tomorrow. Shout out to you, Sarah Gibson. Thank you very much. Price target increase on Clove. Could it squeeze? Could Clover squeeze? I mean, after today, anything can squeeze today. The way it's going, I would not feel good about shorting any of those types of squeezing. I'm not saying it's going to go up, but I would not feel confident about it. Get the camera off me. Get it on Adara, because in 2 and 1, she's going to ring it. And just like that, the market is closed. So Apple is going to be at some point after the bell today. It closes up 2%. The NASDAQ 1.7%. The ES 1.85%. What does that tell you? Things like Nike slipped under the radar, and they probably shouldn't have. But it's been a fantastic day today. Shout out to Fabian and Ramin. Fantastic job, as always, on the 1s and 2s. Adara, not only is she doing the midday show, she is literally researching all day, from the beginning of the day when she does the watch list to the end of the day when she's getting tidbits for Sean. And now I'm going to start asking her for help during lunch money on some interesting facts and stocks I'm looking at. And a shout out to Sharif. Sharif is back. He's feeling better. He's in the building. Thank you, Obi, for filling in. Obi will be on with me tomorrow, as Sean will be preparing for the rink all weekend long. Once again, I always want to thank Brennan at the big desk and one of our favorite guests. I mean, Frank Kaberna does a great job as always. You know where you want to be. It's not here. It's over there. It's a market recap show. Mr. Katina, it's Apple earnings. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. We're ready to rock and roll. Unfortunately, Apple earnings will not come right at 4 o'clock, but as soon as they do come, we will be here. Thank you so much.